Welcome to the BNB Investing Podcast for real estate investors. Fix and flippers and realtors exploring investment options with Airbnbs and short-term rentals through acquisition, leasing, or management to generate consistent monthly revenue. Join us for a chat with experienced and successful short-term rental investors to hear their story of how they got started and created wealth by building scalable businesses. We also explore various service providers and lenders that help make our businesses more efficient and maximize revenue in this awesome sharing economy. Welcome your host, Rich Monroe.
Hey everyone, Rich Monroe here with BNB Investing Group. Thanks for jumping on this week with us on our Facebook Live. As usual, we usually like to have different investors on to talk about their experiences, kind of how they got started. BNB Investing Group helps new investors get started with short-term rentals, whether you're doing acquisitions to buy properties, rental arbitrage, or managing your own properties. And so we, if you're looking to start a scalable business, that's something we can definitely help you with. The easiest thing to do is kind of reach out to me on Facebook Messenger, and we can have a quick call and see how we might be able to line up with what your goals and objectives are. And so a good friend of mine, Monika, is here today with us, and we're just going to kind of dive right in. So Monika, thanks so much for jumping on, and tell us a little bit about your background before you started with real estate.
Thank you, Rich, for having me today. Very excited to be here. So my name is Monika. I've been investor for about a decade now, but I'm originally from Poland, born and raised. I came to America when I was 20 years old. So been 20 years already, so you know my age. When I came here, I didn't know anything about real estate investing or anything like that. So it's been a new thing to me. I started cleaning houses, offices, things like that, going to school. I always had passion for hospitality, and that's why I went to Georgia State University. I got my bachelor's degree from hospitality administration in 2010, and then we kind of purchased our first property with my husband 2012, long term. Then I've been in corporate world for some time. Then after we had kids, I decided I wanted to be home more often with them, because in corporate world, you're working 9 to 5, Monday to Friday, weekends, holidays. And just my kids did not love that, and my husband either. So I had to figure out what to do. And I always loved HGTV show and Flip or Flop, for example. That's kind of how it started. I loved watching that and always wanted to flip houses. So at some point, my husband said, "Why don't we just try that?" So I quit my job and went into flipping business. And I've been doing well until the market changed and it wasn't so well anymore. And I decided to try something different because we're losing money at some point instead of making. And realized that having a real estate portfolio is a way to go for our future and for our family. So went into that business, and from long term we switched into short-term rentals, and in the last 3 to 4 years we grew to have 7 Airbnb properties. So
all right, very cool. So that's awesome. So when you started doing the fixing and flipping, what was it that was challenging? I mean, it seems like a natural progression. My wife and I had a similar, started out doing, investing in real estate, doing fixing and flipping, and wanted to develop a long-term rental portfolio, and kind of had the same transition into short-term. But what was it specifically with the fixing and flipping that kind of caused a challenge for you?
Well, first of all, I didn't have the edge. I'm not a contractor. I'm not a real estate agent. So I had to outsource and hire people to do their work. And that was getting more costly. The first flip, it was $10,000. But then when we were progressing, it ended up like $100,000 for flip. And cost of labor, materials was just too much. So it was fun until it lasted. But then all the money I made kind of lost. Yes, it's nice to have big chunk of money that you make from flipping houses when you sell the house, because you do get that nice profit. but then like the month comes, like you have bills every month, right? So we wanted to focus on cash flow. And when we got the first property, 2012, we kind of got good situation because that was that crash, and the houses were so cheap. Like we bought it for 40,000, flipped it for 10,000, the whole house. I mean, that's unheard of right now, but we kind of took advantage of the situation and like, let's do it. And in the middle of nowhere, because we didn't have a lot of money saved up, so we saved up some money and bought the first property cash. And I remember getting the first paycheck after we renovated. We listed it for long-term rent. It was $850 a month, and the check came in the mail. I'm like, $850, honey, that's a lot of money. I have to work almost a month to make that money, right? and and I didn't have to even work a minute in that month. So like a light bulb came into our heads, like, this is it. Like, we need to do more of that. And like, what can we do? We need to acquire more properties.
Yeah, a lot of the old school investors call that mailbox money.
Yeah, I mean, that was really eureka moment for us, getting that check and without putting any 40 or 60 hours of work. That was awesome.
All right. And so you kind of shifted away from doing the fix and flips. We did the same thing for the same reason. I mean, any kind of delay, there's always financial stress. Like you said, the big payoffs are great, but it's all the stress in between when you buy the house and when you sell the house that basically can be very stressful. And so, the having a long-term rental definitely kind of pivots a little bit, and so that you kind of could get a little bit relief. What was that first long-term rental property like? How did that end up going, and how did you go from there and get more?
We had a good real estate agent, and we told her our budget, and we didn't believe that we could find anything for that price. But she specialized in the hut houses, and that was a hut house. It was terrible shape, and it was in the middle of nowhere in Barrow County. 2 bedrooms, 2 bathrooms, but it had cute layout, open space. It had bedroom and bathroom on one side, and bedroom and bathroom on the other side, and open living room and kitchen. It was very messed up, but I found someone that could fix it for us for really inexpensive, and like for 10,000. I mean, that's you don't do that right now. And he didn't know what he was getting into, because he was. It took him a long time because he didn't have machine. It was just basically one guy. I mean, he was very smart. He knew what he was doing, but he had to dig. There was like no water, no electricity in the house, no power, nothing. He was digging with a shovel. I'm like, what are you doing? Like, at least I thought like he would use some kind of machine, right? To be fast. And no, he had someone help, and they were just doing that menu. Like, oh my gosh, what are we doing? So that was kind of crazy. But yes, getting that first paycheck worked out. And no, we did simple reno. We did we knew that the carpet is bad idea in the rentals, so we did tile floor everywhere. Well, besides bedrooms, and that was the first mistake. Put carpet in the bedrooms, because then the tenants had cats and dogs, and we had to replace that every year. So that was really bad.
So you had a rental amount of $850, but what was your monthly expenses on that property?
It wasn't much because we didn't have a mortgage on it, and the water and electricity and the tenants were paying because it was long-term rent. So our expenses were very, very minimum, and it wasn't that much.
All right, and you were self-managing it? You didn't have a property manager?
No, we didn't. I mean, it was pretty easy. Just sign a lease, advertised property for rent on Facebook Marketplace, and got lots of people interested. And that was no problem renting it out. And we saw the need for that. Like, people needed places to stay. And that's why we got into that. And the second property we bought short sale. It was $85,000, and we had to wait a year and a half for the process. It was longer process, but it was very cute property in Gwinnett County. We fell in love with that. Perfect, also layout, nice fenced backyard. There was nothing wrong with it, just cosmetics. We didn't have money for that either, so we borrowed $12,000 for down payment from our family member, and we just painted ourselves after school. School work. My husband was doing some school as well at that time. We didn't have kids yet, so we were like after work going there, sitting till midnight and painting and just whatever we could do ourselves to save money because we didn't have that much. So then they even lowered the price to $80,000, which was great. We moved there for some time and lived there for almost 3 years. Then we rented it long term, and we rented it for $1,200, and our mortgage was $600. I'm like, perfect math, like basically like $600. Like, this is awesome. And again, we didn't have to do much about it. Once it was rented, it was good to go. So it was almost nothing we had to do for a whole year. And then we wanted to do more flipping. So we sold the property and the prices went up. So we sold for $170,000. So from 80 to 170, that was nice profit. So
Definitely.
We had cash and we could invest in other properties, and that's what we've been doing: purchasing fixer-uppers for cash, renovating it, and putting that on market, selling it, and getting the profit, and keep going. But then, like, it was going great, but when the market shifted on our last flip, we lost $7,000, and I was just like, okay, I'm not losing any dollar, so we have to change something. And we always like the long-term rent, so we decided to keep some properties. Don't just sell them, but keep it. But then, like, okay, how are we gonna scale? How are we gonna grow? So we invested in, so we did the bear method, right?
Yeah.
Renovate, rent, and repeat. And that was our strategy for so long. So we built equity in the property. After we renovated, again, the equity was increased. We increased the value, and we took a loan, cash out refinanced, to buy another property. And we kept going. That's kind of how we were able to scale by building equity in the properties.
Very cool.
So that was the way how we could scale the properties. And
most of those properties in the same area?
No, I wish they were, because now I drive everywhere. But they were in 5 different counties.
Okay.
And so they're about an hour, sometimes hour and a half drive. But it doesn't bother me. I get used to it right now. But we, with our small budgets, when we just started, and I came to America with zero money in my pocket. I mean, no, $50. My sister borrowed. I borrowed from my sister $50. That's all what I had in my pocket. So I'm like, okay, I was always on the budget. And so I'm like, how are we going to do that? So the cheapest property we could find. So that's why we had to drive farther to get the cheaper properties. But we had to also think smart. We didn't want anything that is on the busy road or in not safe area. We tried to stay away from Atlanta area because of the crime, noise, and all of that. So we are more on the suburbs. We have private, safe neighborhoods, and now my guests love it. And we always had to be smart. Like, if we love it, our guests will love it too. And we just quick cosmetics changes and to make it pretty, but we always renovated that to our liking, just to put fresh paint, fresh kitchen, bathrooms, floors. Really wasn't extensive rehab for our investment properties that we have right now. So it was there for the flips. Yes, we did additions, all kinds of work, but that was too much.
So how long ago was it that you shifted away or started doing short-term rentals? Tell us a little bit about how that started.
So I first learned about Airbnb short-term rentals from you, actually, Rich. So thank you. Well, I attended one of your meetings. And again, another light bulb clicked. It's like, Eureka, this is great. Sorry, I can't do that. But I went home and I told my husband a little bit about it. And I started reading different articles, listening to podcasts, bigger pockets, just getting more education, and attended Atlanta RIA meetings very often. I got into talking to people that already do that, asking a bunch of questions, and everyone was so nice and polite, and they said, just do it, like, but I don't know anything about it. Like, it sounded so scary, right? Like, just do it, we have your back. And I'm very thankful for the community. They've been very very nice, helpful, polite. So I kind of learned from that, and my husband said, yeah, let's do that. So the next property that we purchased was in 2019. It was close to my house, 20 minutes. So that's like the first property that was really the closest to my house, which was awesome. And it was cute layout also, 3 bedrooms, 2 bathrooms. I didn't want anything big, just 1 floor, no steps, 1,000 square feet. That's kind of my plan. And again, it was just cosmetics. So we renovated that and put it on Airbnb. And it's funny story from there, because my first booking was a disaster. I didn't expect to get a booking so fast, but after the guests left, actually they booked it for New Year's Eve, and I didn't think they would have a party, right? Because who does that, right? Who does a New Year's party New Year's Eve? And I didn't have Ring camera at that time. I mean, I didn't know almost anything about that. I learned the hard way. Because when I went to that property after the guests left, it was a disaster. It was trashed. They smoked weeds, cigarettes, cigars, lots of alcohol, the red cups everywhere, alcohol bottles everywhere. I come in, there's no TV in the living room. Like, okay, what happened? I see door frames broken, holes in the wall. It stinks. I'm like, what do I do? So I call one of the guy who was helping me with Airbnb in Atlanta. I'm like, what do I do? Panicking, like, oh my gosh, I don't know, my husband's gonna kill me, right? That was my first thought, he's gonna kill me. Like, what did you do now? Like, oh, just calm down. But I'm always a doer. I'm like, and tomorrow I have a next guest. So I have 24 hours. Like, how am I gonna fix this house in 24 hours? So like, hey buddy, can you help me? Airbnb, document, pictures, videos, everything. So I called Airbnb emergency number. It's like, what's the emergency? It's like, this is emergency. I'm like, oh, you have to call this. Oh gosh, like I had no idea who to call. Like, he told that to me was emergency. The first number I Googled, on Airbnb. So that was funny. But anyway, like I called my handyman. I'm like, dude, I need your help. Like, how soon can you be here? Like, I need to fix the walls. I need to fix the doors. Like, oh, I can be here in a couple hours. Like, perfect. So he came in, he helped me fix the stuff. And we got it under control. All the, smell. I got it under control. And then the second booking I came, and listen, this is so funny. The second booking, the lady loved everything on my place, but the sewer was backing up, and it's like something in the tap is backing up. Like, oh my gosh, what now, right? The second booking, I'm like, my husband's gonna kill me again. Like, so like, company, and they came and fixed that. But like, this is rough start. So I really had a rough start in Airbnb.
Right. Yeah, no. So that a lot of us that have been doing this for a while, at some point or another, you're going to experience both of those things. It's very rare that you have that on both the first 2 bookings, though. So that's definitely crazy to kind of have that initial experience. I mean, obviously, now there's certain things to do. So the one thing I like about short-term rental and the hospitality business is you can constantly improve on your operation and your efficiencies to mitigate some of those issues. And we're always learning something new every week. Yeah. And the beauty of it is once you've learned from that mistake and can be proactive going forward, it makes your operation a lot more smoother going forward, right? So obviously New Year's Eve or any type of holidays, you want to make sure that you typically don't want to have obviously in most cases on all of our listings we don't allow a 1-night minimum, so that right away will rule out a lot of that behavior. In some cases on the larger properties we might have a 3 or 4-night minimum to kind of rule out people that are just coming in one night to party. But there's other things like you mentioned, the Ring camera, there's noise detection devices, there's technology that you can put in place to kind of monitor the situation, as well as more, guest verification and additional vetting. Airbnb and some of the other platforms do an okay job, but at the end of the day, they're pumping volume. And so they may not necessarily be comparing to make sure that that driver's license, the name is matching the profile and the credit card that's being used and so on. So there's additional vetting that you can do to try to mitigate that risk as well. But I'm sure you know all that now. But and with the backing up of the sewer system, I mean, we've probably had newly rehabbed properties that's happened on a couple times, and now it doesn't matter how old the system is. We're going to have that flushed before the first guest comes in, just as just as a part of our punch list checklist. So, it's things like that you can kind of acknowledge that it's an issue and just make sure that going forward you can kind of correct on it. So,
and I didn't think much about it because on the documents when we closed on the property, they made a mistake because they said it's a sewer, not septic tank. And so I'm like, why is it backing up? So when I called the company, no, you have septic tank. So when I called the city, they came and they verified, like, oops, sorry. So I didn't think to check the septic tank because it was not supposed to be there. But surprise, yes, it was. So they gave me money back because I was paying for that. And it worked out well, but it didn't, cross my mind to even check that at the beginning. But yeah, I learned the hard way, and I have lots of stories.
So after that rough start, I guess you got it kind of smoothed out, and then did you start getting new properties and putting them on short term, or did you convert some of your long-term rentals over to short term?
I converted my long-term rental into short-term because I saw how much money I was making, basically 2-3 times more than long-term rent. And what upset me with the long-term rent, I mean, it was nice because I didn't have to do anything for a year. But after a year, when tenants left, there was a whole mess. We had to replace the carpet, paint, new appliances. So basically, when I was making almost like $10,000, I had to spend all the $10,000. And so I broke even, like the zero. I'm like, I'm not here to volunteer. Like, I need to make money. No, I cannot afford just give property for free, like to live for people. So that's why we decided, let's try short-term rent. And I converted the property to short-term rental. And again, thinking that my first long-term rent is in the middle of nowhere. I'm like, who's going to come here? Right? But it's actually been very, very well. It's going very well. To my surprise, and it got me thinking, like, it can work anywhere. Short-term rental can work anywhere.
Yeah,
and
a lot of
on the beach. I wasn't in the city center. I didn't have a luxury property. It was just simple 2 bedrooms, 2 bathrooms, 1,000 square feet house, but it has nice privacy, and people live everywhere, right? They need business everywhere. So that's been kind of our model, and it worked for us.
Yeah, no, that's awesome. You're right. A lot of people don't realize that it's not just in the inner city or close walkable to restaurants or vacation-y beach or mountain or lake. You could throw a dart anywhere in the middle of the suburbs and in a lot of the rural areas, and you may not be getting 80-90% occupancy, but you can still do well with 50 or 60% occupancy in some of those outlying areas, definitely compared to long-term rental, right? So for me, that light bulb moment was when we had to evict our long-term tenant right before the holidays, and to your point, rehab the property again, and then all of a sudden you're upside down or just breaking even, and we're just banging our head up against the wall on these long-term rentals. What are we doing here? And so from that point forward, we shifted over and basically converted everything over to short-term rentals, and all the new acquisitions from there were short-term rentals. And so the properties stay in much better shape. You're getting them cleaned and inspected in between each guest stay. And, you're incentivized to make that property look the same as it did, 6 months ago when you took your listing pictures, because you want your guests to walk in on the same thing that they've purchased. Right. So all of your properties now are short-term rentals?
They are.
Nice.
We just fall in love with short-term, and
nice.
That's what we decided to do, and it's been working. Of course, it was not easy to do it, but I learned my ways. And my first Airbnb, I hired a professional stager to help me because I didn't feel confident. But then they just put like the cheapest furniture that broke, a year later. I had a guest that anyway, I don't know if I should talk about that, but broke the bed. And like, okay, now we know the system. Like, I don't want a bed with tiny, those skinny long legs because they're gonna break. So,
Right.
and you want fabric chairs, kind of this, on the dining table, because people drop spaghetti. And how are you gonna clean it from material? You're gonna put the chair in the laundry room. The same rack. I mean, it looks pretty on the pictures, and she's
Yeah.
very great leisure, but like it's not practical. So now I don't put rack under the table because again, spaghetti on the rack. I'm gonna clean
Right.
that. We clean that within our window, and we have 10 a.m. check-in, 4 p.m. checkout. So that's the window that we have. I don't do 11 or 3 because it's short and you don't know what the condition of the house will be. So we want the 6-hour window. So the easiest possible, right? So the next properties I was just staging and getting ready by myself, and I learned the hard way, and it's good now.
So let's touch a little bit on you also own a cleaning company, and so I'm assuming you basically have your cleaning operation that handles all of the cleaning for all of your properties. Is that right?
Yes, I do have my team right now, but I started with cleaning by myself. And I think that's why I was successful, because I babied those houses. I am very good at cleaning with my experience. And like I was basically housekeeping director in hotels, nursing homes, hospitals, right? So I know how to not only clean, but sanitize and disinfect. And especially after COVID, those are important skills to have.
Mm-hmm.
Plus, I have eye to detail. So I was in the first year doing everything by myself, cleaning after each guest. So every 2 days the property was clean, and I really took good care. Like I cleaned baseboards, blinds, under the beds is a must, because you can find crazy stuff under the beds.
Oh yeah.
So that's kind of. But then when we grew to 7 properties, like, okay, and what if I have 7 checkouts and 7 check-ins in one day? I cannot clean them all with the same day. It's impossible, especially when they're far away, right? So I had to hire help, had to train them. In work in progress, but they finally got it. And I have like pretty much 5-star reviews on my properties, and especially for cleanliness. Like if you read my reviews, almost everyone says it's clean, it's spotless. And even the guest said she accidentally dropped a bottle of water and spilled on the floor, so she took a paper towel and wiped it. It's like, oh, it's clean. Usually when you go to Airbnbs to clean something, either your socks are dirty or something, they're not even mopping the floor. Like, how can you not mop the floor? That's like you vacuum and then you mop the floor.
Right.
I was like, wow, the paper towel was clean on the floor. And she wrote that in my review. I'm like, well, it's supposed to be clean, right?
Well, I told you this before. I mean, I really commend you on that, because, for those of you that don't know, like 30% of the revenue that comes in on short-term rentals is going to be the cleaning fee, 30 to 40% in some cases. And so I've always kind of stayed in my lane and had all of our cleaners are separate companies, and we kind of work with them more as strategic partners. But I really commend you for doing that, because essentially you went from making very little on your long-term rentals, but now not only are you profiting on the nightly revenue side, but also on the cleaning side as well. So you're getting it on both sides. So that's really, really commendable. And now you're also doing that for other folks that have short-term rentals now too?
No, but if someone wants help, I don't mind helping. I've had experience. But not only it's been saving me money on cleaning, but also property management, because I don't hire someone to help me. I do it by myself. My husband is helping me if needed, but that's like 20% that I would pay someone, right, to manage my properties, plus the cleaning part. Having 7 checkouts, and I'm pretty booked like on a regular basis, almost all the time, but weekends, like almost always are booked. So if I have 7 checkouts, usually on Sunday, because they come for the weekends, that's $700, right? Because that's kind of amount the $100 that guests pay me and I pay my guests approximately. It varies on the properties and size. So that was good income, like you said. So
Very cool. Very cool.
Property property management and cleaning, so did it all by myself. And I know those properties, so if the guests tell me something that I know it's not true, like a guest came one day and she said, "Oh, the house is dirty. I don't want to stay here. I don't like it, and I want full refund." Like, okay, I just left 30 minutes ago. I cleaned it by myself. Show me what's dirty. I mean, I never missed anything. I mean, maybe one time, but but no, I never missed. So like,
it's hard for a lot of times guests try to pull the wool over your eyes, thinking that you're not going to really be paying attention, but if you're the one that's actually doing it,
yes, a lot of stuff like that. They want full refund or this and that, or discounts. I'm like, show me what's dirty. I can turn back 30 minutes and show me.
Right.
She can buy it, and so no, they cannot fool me. I know my properties very well.
Nice. So Monika, with a little bit of time we have left, what's next? What are your plans? What are your goals? What are you trying to do from now going forward?
I want to invest in more short-term rentals. I want to keep growing my portfolio. I would like to invest in multi-units. Last year we purchased a duplex, and it's been the best property ever. We were thinking, should we put one side on long term, one short term, but no, we rented and both sides short term. So basically I'm making double income and paying one mortgage. And now I also have some midterm rentals in my renters in my property on one side that's been there for a couple months. So that's been very steady income, but they pay price of my nightly rate. So that's good. And I also had one of the famous Falcon players stay in my property for 6 months one time.
Nice. Very good.
I like those midterm rentals.
Yeah.
That they're guaranteed 100% occupancy for a couple months. So I don't have to drive there. I mean, I offer free cleaning once a month because you have to. And if it's like a single guy, he doesn't know how to clean, you're going to have the orange ring mold around the toilets and taps regardless, even when it's just one person. So I offer free. It doesn't cost me that much. I mean, nothing. It's just my time, about 1 hour, and I'm done.
Yeah, and it's a good thing to do with midterm, because then you mitigate that risk that you have with the long-term rentals. If you could be able to put your eyes on the property at least once a month as well. And so you can kind of cut things off at the pass if something's not going right with that tenant. And so that's definitely a good practice on the midterm rentals for sure.
Yeah. Well, that was my worry when when he wanted to move for a longer period of time. I'm like, well, I know after 1 month, like even I had a guest last week that came here just for one night. It was family, but they were cooking something. It stinked up the whole house. I couldn't get rid of the smell for days. Seriously. And and with the kids, it was such a big mess. I'm like, oh, if someone's going to come for 2 months or 3 months, I need to be there. So that was my one thing. Even like I will offer to do that for free. Like, oh, thank you. Right. So you have to make sure that the guests are happy. And that's why I'm here. Like my hospitality degree and experience and education, like I always had passion for hospitality, right? To make sure people are happy in their places. And even like with the Ring camera, I always check who comes in. It's not like I'm spying on them, but I need to know who is coming in and how many people. If it's like so many people that come in. So
and if they're smuggling in a pet.
Right, they try. Trust me, they try to snag in pets, but that's another story about pets. If we have more time, we can definitely talk about it because I have lots of stories. But these guests, they were like, they just got married, and the lady like groom and bride in white dress, and he lifts her up and going to my property right through the front door, and like, oh my gosh, there's a bride in white dress coming to my house. So like. I always have to make sure that the properties are clean and well equipped. I always leave snacks and my hospitality, right? Snacks, water, sometimes welcome notes. But this guest didn't say he was going to be married because I would do something more special for them.
Right,
so it was like that's why I always have to be prepared. And it's nice because I remember the first hotel that we stayed when we got married. It was special, right? You remember the first night after you get married. So I'm creating memories for the guests.
Definitely.
I love this business.
Oh, that's very cool. Well, listen, Monika, thank you so much for taking the time today. This has been very good. I'm sure a lot of the folks that have been watching are learning a lot of new things about the business. So we really appreciate you coming on today.
Thank you for letting me. I have much more stories.
Yeah. We have someone commenting. I love her energy. Very motivating. So that's a positive comment. Thanks everybody for watching this week. Just a reminder, B&B Investing Group helps new investors with short-term rentals. If you are ready to start a scalable business and want to grow like Monika, reach out to me and we can have a quick call and see what your goals and objectives are and see if this is a good fit for you or not. So Monika, thanks again so much. I'd love to have you back again sometime soon and see how you're progressing.
My pleasure. Thank you so much for having me.
Thanks. Yeah. Thanks everybody for watching. Take care.
Thanks for jumping on the B&B Investing podcast this week. Please click on the subscribe and like button below. For more trainings, property tours, and content, you can join my B&B Investing Facebook group by clicking below. If you are ready to grow your short-term rental portfolio and maximize your monthly income, you can click on the link below to schedule a quick strategy call with Rich or someone from his team to see how we can help or point you in the right direction. Stay tuned for our next episode and hope to see you on the B&B Investing Group podcast.